Hello and welcome to the show. Taking today's episode outside of the hospital, the same hospital that I was at yesterday. Well, my family friend, she's doing okay. Surgery was well, so she's recovering okay. So, since I'm in the car lot, expect to hear some interruptions in the background. Now, the goal of this show is free business education. So, if you're looking for that kind of thing, sales, marketing, all sorts of things business related, then you're in the right place. You can stay here on the podcast. No need to run away. This is not a podcast that is going to tell you about the ailments of people in Nigerian hospitals. No, that's not what we're about. So if by the time we're done with the podcast, you find this thing to be valuable, share it, promote it, and talk about it so that your friends and family members in Nigeria and abroad can benefit from the questions that we tackle. They can do that by subscribing, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, or any player of your choice. And if you, dear listener, have any sales and marketing questions, then bring them to me. You can call, you can SMS, you can WhatsApp me on 080-6466-2140. Now, today on the show, I have my very first retraction on the podcast. I think that's what it's called anyway, retraction. That's when, you put something out in the press, but then you didn't do your research and, maybe you misyan and, you just pull a retraction to say that, look, people, I know I said this on so and so date, but I beg, no vex, I was wrong. So, this is the correct information. So that's what I'm going to do on the podcast. Now, for those of you who've been listening for a while, you remember that podcast episode I was talking about some of my guys. I was talking about Chairman Mo, a Sudanese-born billionaire, correct big boy, who was some of my inspirations, back when I was a youth, back in the military era into like Obasanjo first term. So back when I was a young youth now, these are the kind of people that inspired me. I also spoke about Mo Abudu. That's the other Mo, the Nigerian media exec. And then who else? So I think I made a podcast episode where I spoke about like 3 billionaires. And I can't remember the point of the episode, but I do remember that at some point I credited Chairman Mo, that's the Sudanese-born billionaire. I credited him with starting a mobile telecom company that would eventually become Econet Wireless and all of that. But I made a mistake. I got my things mixed up. So Chairman Mo, yes, did start a mobile telecom company, which would have significant business interest in Nigeria, but it actually was another African billionaire. This guy now is Bros Strive. By the way, when I say Bros or Chairman, that's not what people call them. That's just me putting it there. But I'll use their full names. So Strive Strive Masiyiwa, he actually is the one who started a mobile telecom company that would eventually become Econet Nigeria and, on and on and on and on. But of course, it was easy for me to get both of them mixed up because, they're both billionaires, they're both not Nigerian. And then they also, not only did they study something similar in uni, they also ended up starting telecom companies, and they both had interest in Nigeria. So in my brain, I just got everything mixed up in the episode. But still, let me just issue my retraction. I decided to go and do research and print everything out. So I want a misyan this time. And I'm beginning to think that in the future, if I'm talking about sales and marketing, yes, I know that anything I say about sales, that one is 100% correct. I don't need to cross-check. Yeah, but when I'm going to be talking about factual things, talking about people who existed or what they did, I think I'll go and do some research and print it out now so that I will not misyan. Either that or I'm going to hire a production assistant at some point so that everything on this podcast is going to be correct. So let me now, for those of you who didn't listen to that episode, let me just give you a summary about the two billionaires. Because, growing up, military era into Obasanjo first time, that period, these were some of the people that were it's not as if I used to follow them like that, because I never, we didn't have social media back then. internet was not a thing. It's not even a matter of not really a thing. There was no internet in Nigeria, basic, because internet was not even until like maybe Obasanjo, like second term, I can't remember. So, but these are the people that we used to hear stories about, big boys, doing things, and were kind of inspiration for some of us to get into business and do some adventurous stuff. And of course, it is my hope and my prayer that I'm going to end up not just like them, but eclipsing what these people have done. So it's my hope and my prayer that some of us on this journey now, listening to this podcast right now, that this is where we're going to end. So anyway, let me get straight into it. So now, Bros Strive. Real name, Strive Masiyiwa. Now, I heard on the podcast that the reason why his name is Strive, that's Strive, is because his momsy, who was a born-again Christian, wanted the boy to strive to greatness, so she named him Strive. So if that's the case, then those of you Nigerians who are named Good Luck, Promise, Excellence, what else, Victory, all those names, it's my prayer that name will catch you. So just as strove for greatness, it's my prayer that if your name is Victory, you end up victorious. If your name is Good Luck will always follow you. If your name is, Excellence, you shall be excellent all your days. So, he was born on the 29th of January, 1961. So, my guy is senior me small, like 2 decades. And then he's the founder of an executive chairman for Econet Global and then Cassava Technologies. He has spent, while he was an entrepreneur for about 4 decades, he started and invested in businesses across Africa, Europe, India, Latin America, Middle East, New Zealand, UK, and USA. So you can see that the boy tried, as in he really tried. Then, he had one company, Mascom Wireless, in Botswana. I think before that, how he started making some major bar was when Zimbabwe got independence, and then Robert Mugabe's government was coming in. They were investing a lot in infrastructure, roads, what else? Roads, electricity, what else? Communications infrastructure. So he started doing contracting work basically as a government contractor, and that's how he made some of his money. But the guy became born again later on, so he tried to do business in a certain way. Let me just put it this way. Apparently, my guy, Strive Masiyiwa, refused to drop money, as in he refused to give bribes. And it turns out that was his undoing in Zimbabwe and also in Nigeria, unfortunately. So, where was I? So he started doing government contracting work, then Mascom Wireless in Botswana, and then Econet Wireless in Zimbabwe. And that was the company that would eventually invest in bringing GSM infrastructure to Nigeria, Econet Wireless. Now it is called Airtel. So if you have Airtel, then the guy who is responsible for you using your Airtel line is Strive Masiyiwa, Zimbabwean-born businessman, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and billionaire with a capital B. Although some people say he's a small billionaire. I don't understand these people when they say small billionaire, big billionaire. Like somebody, I said, Dangote is a billionaire. The person was like, what do you mean? I say, is he not a billionaire? They say, no, that is not a billionaire. That when we say billionaire, we mean billion in dollars. We don't mean billion in naira. I say, so Dangote is only billion in naira. They say, yes, no, there's no billion in dollars. And then I heard that there's big billionaire and then there's small billionaire. So apparently, people like Strive Masiyiwa, since his net worth is only about 1.2 billion, they say he's a small billionaire, because there's some people whose net worth is 20 bill, some people who their own net worth is like 100 bill. So apparently there's big billionaire, there's small billionaire. But anyway, I don't mind. Let me enter that 1.2 billion class first, and I'll take it from there. Then let's see what else. Okay, so his wife Tsitsi. This is the thing I love about Nigerians, as in you go here, sorry, not Nigerians, African, as in you go hear names, as in it's the correct name. Her name is Tsitsi, I hope I'm pronouncing it well, TSI. They co-founded Higher Life Foundation and Delta Philanthropies. So they were investing in education. They supported the education of over 300,000 African children through scholarships. So this is part of the guy's born again background. As per his mom, she was born again, Eventually, he became born again. He even now married a born again as well. So, yeah, this is some of the good that they chose to do. By the way, so those of you who are listening to this podcast now who say, "Oh, nice guys finish last or good girls finish last," all that kind of stuff, like, "Oh, I'm born again, I can never succeed in Nigeria." It's not a given. It's not a given. So from what I heard about Strive's hustle so far, like, it was tough. Imagine doing business in Zimbabwe. Everywhere you go, people say you should drop envelope. They say you must do Ghana must go. You must drop this. You must see somebody. You must appreciate somebody. And he refused to appreciate people, but he still made it. And the gist that we used to hear, well, that I heard back in the day when I was a youngster, was when he tried coming into Nigeria with the whole Econet wireless thing. That part of the reasons why the whole thing didn't work was he also, that his hand is aka gum, that he does not drop anything. He won't see anybody. He won't facilitate anything. He won't appreciate anybody. He won't. His own is just, let me do my business and go. So, anyway, in his business, he faced a lot of struggles, basically. When he was trying to break into this whole Econet wireless thing, in Zimbabwe, you know how, like, in Nigeria, we had Nitel, and Nitel owned the rights to everything. So in the same way, Zimbabwe, they had their own Nitel, or whatever the thing was called, and they refused to give the guy a license. He applied in 1993 so that he could establish a mobile telecom company. And Mugabe, they said, "No, we're not giving you a license. That we hold the license for everything. You cannot come and do anything in this country." Of course, Strive now, he kind of vexed because he was thinking, you guys have the rights to all these things, but you're not doing anything with this thing now. So just give me license. Let me go ahead and do this mobile company now. So they refused. So the gist was that some people in the government say, if you drop by, if you drop this, if you drop envelope, come and greet me, come and show our appreciation, go and dobale that, sort you out. So he refused. Instead, he went to court. And that's where his problems with Mugabe started. Mugabe is like, who are you? Like, small boy. You want to come and... You know how it is now in this part of the world. The same thing in Nigeria now. When somebody's on top, when somebody is the president, and you're a relative nobody, you now carry them to court. Or you want to air your grievance. You know how it can be now. Like, you're a small boy, you won't respect your elders. So, anyway, they started looking at Strive and Econet as a threat to the government. In fact, some people said that at some point Mugabe was claiming that Strive was a CIA operative, something like that. All these gist that we used to hear back in those days. So that was plenty gist. So let me see. Anyway, so this court thing lasted, was it 5 years? Okay, the court thing lasted 5 years. Eventually, they ended up in Supreme Court of Zimbabwe. And let's see, so he won. So he won, and then that's how he got the license. And apparently, Mugabe didn't like that. So that's how two of them now, they were not friends at all. So eventually, the guy started facing economic sabotage because you know how our people do these things now. Once they gave him license, they say, is it like that? Other people now showed up and started applying for license too. And then lo and behold, the person that won the contract, it turns out the person was now related to Mugabe. Can you imagine? License that they didn't want to give my guy in the beginning. When he now went to court and then he won, they now carried the license. You won, Abi. They carried the license, they gave somebody else. By the time you look underneath the hood of the company, you see that the person is related to Mugabe. So he went back to court again to go and fight that thing. Which kind of rubbish. So eventually he won the case because Mugabe's stooges who ran the other company, they did not meet the technical requirements and stuff like that. So that's how he now won, and he was able to get his company going. So he faced some economic sabotage there. Then let's see what else. Okay, then apparently he wasn't that good at raising funds for some of his ideas. So some people say that he could have been bigger. If he was good at raising funds. Then of course it also didn't help that he wasn't able to get going on time. The first court something was like 5 years. The second court thing, okay, did I write it down? Okay, no, I didn't write it down. Then let's see what else. Anyway, so from there now he starts moving on to other countries. Then eventually he decided to come into Nigeria, but then there was government interference, there was political interference, similar to Zimbabwe. The gist. I'm not saying this one like I know for sure. The gist was that one or two governors were telling him that, oh, young man, no problem, you can come here. If you drop one or two things, if you see one or two people, come and dobale, come and shake hand, come and show appreciation that, we'll help you arrange, one or two things. And of course, he refused to pay bribes again. And this is the point where some of you will say, hey, Africans, why do we do this to our own? Anyway, it's a pity. I'm now beginning to understand why a lot of the billionaires eventually cut out, because Strive Masiyiwa is no longer in Zimbabwe. He's now currently in the UK. And the reason why he was in the UK is because some people came and told him that, look, guy, you know that you and Mugabe, you were not friends. And because of, with mobile technology and social media and stuff like that, people are beginning to express dissent over social media and stuff. So some people are now beginning to say that, look, as far as Mugabe is concerned, it is you that is fomenting trouble. So he decided to be wise. As my father used to say, my father used to tell me, well, not me, one of my cousins, used to tell him that, look, don't stay, is it until they pour hot water on your head that you understand? They don't like you, move. So that's what he did, and he's out. So that's why I now understand why a lot of them leave. And I guess that's the reason why some people congratulate Dangote, for saying that, oh, he's still here and still pushing it. So let's see. So political interference in Nigeria as well. He refused to pay bribes. There also were disputes with members of the board, and then there was also ownership conflicts. He wasn't able to raise the amount of finance that he needed to get the projects going over here. So I think because of that, he only owned 5% of the entity here in Nigeria. That's Econet Nigeria. Then let's see, let me check my notes. If you're interested in all this stuff, go on Google, go and check Wikipedia, whatever. It's a really interesting story. Then let's see, what else? And eventually they were able to force him out of the country, and then there was lots of ownership changes and stuff like that. So that is how the companies, started to change name until it ended up as, sorry, let me give you the correct gist this time. I wrote it, Airtel Nigeria. So for those of you, So for those of you who use Airtel, that's how your company started. It was Strive Masiyiwa. If you want to go and do some research on the fellow, Strive, Strive, and then Masiyiwa, Masiyiwa. Small billionaire, but I don't mind. $1.2 billion. Not bad. All right, so that's how I got them confused, because now Chairman Mo is also a billionaire. He's from Sudan. And he and Strive, they studied something similar in uni, and but the company that Chairman Mo started was Celtel. So Chairman Mo, Mo Ibrahim, yes, that's his full name. That's for those of you who want to go and check him. So Mo Ibrahim. So Mo Ibrahim, he started the company Celtel, and they ended up becoming one of Africa's leading mobile phone companies. So you can see that they started something similar. Then, let's see, what else? Okay, so Celtel now. So this is where I now made the mix-up in my head. Now, Celtel had significant business holdings in Nigeria. That's because they acquired V Mobile. Abi? Try. Okay, I should have written these things out properly. In 2000, one moment, phone call, let me see. One moment, I'll pause this recording and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Remember I said that I'm in the car park at the hospital. So, yes, I got a phone call. I thought maybe they needed me in the ward. Let's see, where was I? So I was talking about Chairman Mo now, Mo Ibrahim. So I think they acquired V Mobile in 2006. So they acquired 65% controlling stake in V Mobile, and at the time he supposedly dropped 1 billion. Then let's see what else. Okay, then after they acquired V Mobile was rebranded as Celtel Nigeria. Good. So for those of you who Momsy and Popsy were using Celtel line, this is how it began. This is how Celtel entered Nigeria. Then let's see. Okay, they announced plans to invest in Nigerian operations. Okay, they invested another $700 million, by the way. All this money I'm calling is dollars, so it's not naira that they're dropping. Then what else? What else? Anyway, I think let me not talk too much because I've already done 20 minutes. But that's just the gist. That's just the crux of the gist that I wanted to give you guys. Anyway, now basically I gave you guys wrong gist. So Chairman Mo is responsible for Celtel. That's the company he started, Celtel. Celtel would now go and acquire V Mobile and then change to Celtel Nigeria. Then it is Strive Masiyiwa who would start the company, who would start Econet and eventually come into Econet Nigeria. Then let's see, so the company is still around today. That is Mo Ibrahim's company, because later on they will now transition to Zain in 2008. Yes, they will become Zain because parent company. Anyway, let me skip the details. But eventually, Celtel would now become Zain. Then Zain would later on rebrand as Abi. You know what? Even this research, I didn't even do this research properly. I should have just hired a research assistant from the start. Anyway, but anyway, I've done my retraction. I gave you guys false information the first time round, and I wanted to make sure that I came correct this time and gave you guys correct information. So these are the people to check out. So the Zimbabwean billionaire and businessman is Strive Masiyiwa, Strive Masiyiwa. And then the other person, my guy Chairman Mo, that's Mo Ibrahim, the Sudanese born businessman. I think he also lives in the UK now. Well, the reason why these guys caught my attention back then as a young youth was, they were doing big things. On the African continent, times are different now. Mobile phones are everywhere. Digital tech is everywhere. But back then, growing up, it felt as if Nigeria was closed, felt as if Africa was closed. So with these young men, moving things, doing things, setting up these companies, there was a lot of opening up and a lot of expansion that was going on then. Back in the day, we're all getting access to these technologies. We're all getting access to information. Was opening up all kinds of things. Was opening up multiplier effects. I mean, by the time I got my first, I think my first line was, an MTN line. By the time I got my first one in uni, I think I must have been in year 3, year 4. By the time I got my first GSM, it was a good eye. How will I put it? It was an eye opener, Sha. Let me just put it that way. Access to the internet, access to mobile telephony, all these sorts of things. And that was the time when I was trying to be a music producer back in uni. So, and back in those days, since everybody had a mobile phone, all of us were dropping our phone numbers everywhere. Like even P Square them, they even used to drop their phone numbers on the back of the CDs. And this guy from Storm Records, Obi Asika, his phone number was there. So, because there was an artist I was trying to promote at the time, Mickey the Messenger, a gospel artist, but we've lost touch anyway. So when I was trying to be a music producer back in the day, this is how I got the phone numbers of some of these people, trying to call them, trying to get an artist signed, trying to get a record deal. It was not successful, by the way. So the artist that I was representing, the thing didn't pop off. But what I'm just trying to say is that right now, you guys take it for granted. But back then, it was as if overnight we were learning business at the speed of light. So I could be in Ife. I should have been studying, but I was trying to be a music producer. I could be in Ife, and then with my phone, trying to make phone calls, trying to run things in Lagos, trying to arrange meetings in Lagos. Okay, I was supposed to see DJ Jimmy Jat, but I never. That meeting was. I wasn't able to make that meeting happen by the time we got to Lagos. Couldn't pin him down, as in he was very busy. So, yeah, that's why these guys just caught my attention. So there are young men doing big things. They're opening up the African continent, and the reason why I made the first episode where I spoke about Chairman Mo, and the reason why I'm making this one now, is basically it's just to let you guys know. Now, there's a lot of talk in the entrepreneurial space right now where people are focusing on great things, the big things that people are doing in North America and Western Europe. But just to let you know that we have our own authentic, homegrown stories of people trying to switch things up, people trying to innovate, and people trying to change the game over here, trying to change the game right now. So we don't always have to look towards Zuckerberg and the rest of them. I'm not saying that it's bad, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay attention to Apple, Facebook, and all of that. I'm just trying to say that we currently have our own entrepreneurial stories going on at the moment, and we have had for quite a while. So pay attention. We have those stories are over here, and I think sometimes these stories itself are even more relatable. Because think about it, like Strive. It's not as if Strive was born a big boy. It's not as if he was born into a big family. He was just born in a certain context. Momsy and Popsy had certain ideals. They prayed over their child. They did their best. And apparently he was a sharp guy. And he tried to take advantage of opportunities. So, anyway, don't mind me. I'm just misyanning. So, these are some of my heroes back when I was a young youth. So, we also have heroes on the African continent. So, let's pay attention. These are all wonderful stories. It's such a shame that for Strive in particular, that this whole thing about corruption would be something that will continue to dodge him in Zimbabwe and then in Niger. So for those of us who are going to be in government later on and who are going to be responsible for setting public policy and things like that, I beg, let's shine our eyes. Let's not handicap our own, and let's stop creating the environment in such a way that anybody who starts anything here, by the time they blossom small, to survive, the gas cut out and go someplace else. So be mindful, those of you who are going to become governors, presidents, legislators, whatever. I beg, be mindful. Because when these people do things and it pops off, like Strive and Chairman Mo, who are the ones that benefit? When Chairman Mo comes in here, and when Strive came in here, and they're building towers, they're expanding the network and everything, who are the people that benefit? It is Nigerian engineers that benefit, Nigerian construction people that benefit. And who are the people that benefit? Nigerian youth. People like me, back then in uni, now feeling like a big boy because I have a mobile phone, feeling as if, I can now run things. These things have a multiplier effect. So please, when we get into office, Anyway, let me stop preaching. So that's it. That's all today on the show. Thank you very much for your time and attention. If you have any sales and marketing questions, even though I didn't talk about anything sales and marketing related today, please bring it to me. You can call, SMS, or WhatsApp on 080-6466-2140. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode. And next time, I'll try and do my research ahead of time before I hit record so that I don't come and give you guys wrong info. But rest assured, if it is anything that is related to sales and marketing that I say on this podcast, forget it. That is gospel. If I say it, take it. It is true. So I'll catch you guys at the next episode.